because I feel like this is not talked about enough, and I feel like I want to share my experience from my past jobs and things that have happened at my past jobs, that were like uncomfortable things coworkers have said, to like downright disgusting things that they have told me, and just kind of share my experience, because I feel like I want people to know, especially women, that they are not alone, and feeling like it's not okay, because it's not. You shouldn't be desensitized to it. You shouldn't feel like you have to tolerate it just because it's your job and you have to be there. I just want this to be a space where I can share a couple of my stories, and hopefully it will make you feel more seen, that it's not just you and it's never your fault. It's just, unfortunately, really immature boys, because men don't do that. But yeah, so okay, so the first thing wasn't actually like anything that I experienced, but my first job, I heard that one of because I worked at as a receptionist, and I heard one of my male coworkers, which was not a receptionist, was always hitting on the girls that were doing reception, even though they were clearly uninterested. He just kind of would try his luck at all of them, and it made everybody really uncomfortable, because it was all a universal experience of this guy hitting on him. And technically, he was in a higher position in the workplace, at least compared to reception. So it kind of felt very like a power dynamic that he was trying to play in his favor, because we had to do stuff for him and manage his stuff, and he would be weird about it. But actually, this is not a coworker story, but I had a customer base in the front reception lobby, because we would not remove the payment for something that he got done, and I was the only one up front, and it was 9 o'clock at night, and he was just pacing like this, and he was really weird too. Even he tried blessing us when he came out from the back, and it was just it was really weird. And he was pacing, he was I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm not gonna hurt you, but I will get this for free. I'm not gonna hurt you. And at the time, I had to walk home after work, so I was walking home at 9:30, which was already really unsafe. But I just didn't have the privilege to have a car at the time, so I was really, really scared that he was gonna find me when I left work, because it was right before closing time, and then he was gonna try something. But eventually we got him to leave. But that was my first experience. My second job was with fast food, and that's where shit was really, really weird and uncomfortable. I made a decent amount of friends there, and I really enjoyed the job, and I still keep contact with some of the people today. But there were some really uncomfortable experiences. I think it was from 4 separate people. And I guess I'll go person by person. But I guess my first uncomfortable person was, I was working there for probably I was 6 months into the job, and there was this new maintenance guy that started coming, because the other one had wasn't available as often, had to change the schedule or quit. I don't really remember, because I think I would still see him around, but a lot less often than this new guy. And I was 18, and he had to be in his 30s. And one day, he would always come up to me and try to give me a fist bump, and I do it back, because he did it with everyone. But one day he came up to me, and I was in back cash, social media. And I was like, no. And he was like, do you have Snapchat? And I was like, definitely not. And he was like, oh, okay, because I was trying to get your Instagram. You don't have Instagram. Okay, brother, first of all, why would you ask me for my Snapchat if you didn't want my Snapchat? And then try to switch it to Instagram. I'm like, well, I don't have Instagram. I like lied, but like, why as a 30, because he was at least in his 30s, why would you ask for my Instagram and my social media? Mind you, we were like, I was like alone in back cash, and everybody else was like doing something separate, so I felt very, very isolated, and it felt like he did that intentionally. But yeah, that was the first person, and then he kept like trying to like hang out with me, which it was just really weird. It was really weird. The second person, and I'm going from like least to worst. The second person was one of my friends, but he said this and it made me feel like really uncomfortable, because there was this, like, I was like in back cash, and there was this truck with guys, like 4 guys that pulled up, and we're all paying for food, and I wasn't paying attention. I was just doing my job, and he was coming to the back to clock out, and I noticed him looking at the truck, and then looking at me, and then looking back at the truck, and then when the truck drove off, he's like, oh, Mario, my storage literally combusted, and I had to like delete stuff. But we're back. So basically, he was like, oh, like they were looking at you, like they wanted to drag you in the truck with them. And I was like, are you serious? Like, what were they doing? And he was like, sorry, I'm gonna adjust this. He was like, oh, they were just looking at you because like you look good and whatever. I'm sorry, but never in any reality will it be flattering to anybody if you felt like you were being preyed on by a truck full of men, and you think that's like cool, because like I don't understand your thought process behind that remark. I really don't, because the fact of the matter is, like, I look very young. I look, and I'm 19 now, but this was a year ago, and my face was a little bit more babyish, if like you can imagine. I looked like a high schooler. So what do you mean? That group full of men were looking at me like that, and you think it was fun? Mind you, like, this guy knew better. To be clear, I think people my age already know better. I think people that are like 14 know better than to say something like this. But he was in his mid-20s. Like, if anybody should know not to be saying stuff like that, it is you. I can't. But that stuff. And I don't know if I did this earlier in the video, but I just want to give a trigger warning going forward, because if you don't like objectifying or sexualizing comments, and if you feel like this triggers you in any way, I would take a big deep breath, click off this video. I have some light-hearted and fun content that you can take a look at if you're not into this, which is totally understandable. But yeah, the third person was a manager, the third person was a manager, and I felt crazy for a while, because like it would be small enough things to where I wasn't really sure if I was crazy or not, and it was small enough to where it was obvious, but I wasn't able to report it, because you can't really, like, unless you have like concrete evidence, you really can't report it. But yeah, he was a manager, and I used to work afternoon and the night shifts, but I needed to switch to the morning because I was doing school. I started school, so I needed to do it in the morning, so I would get there like 5-6 o'clock, and that was like the shifts that he was managing. And I had heard about him through a mutual friend, and I heard that he was a really nice manager. So when he was very like kind and attentive, I didn't really think anything of it at first. Like, he would give me first I thought he was just like a nice person, because apparently he was also a person of faith. So I don't know, but there was like, I started noticing that he was very hyper fixated on just me and my facial expressions, because I would be working, and the second that I looked tired or had a frown on my face, it didn't matter where in the store he was, he would come up and he would be like, "Are you okay? What's wrong? Do you need a break?" And he would like do that constantly, sometimes 3 times a day. And it would make me uncomfortable, because I felt like a fly under a microscope. Like, I felt like a bug. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And it got to the point where I'd get progressively more annoyed when I'd answer him, because he would always keep asking me. And stuff like that would be going on. And he would continuously like try to start a conversation with me, which I was like, but you're probably thinking, like, okay, he just sounds interested in you. He's married. That's sad. And it gets worse. So, like, there would be situations where I'd be clocking in, and I remember this one time specifically, the last person I'm going to talk about, actually is part of this, because they had crashed their scooter, and their leg was, like, hurt, but they still made it to work, and they were in the back, like, in the break room, and, like, the way the store was set up was, when you're clocking in, you could peek your head around, like, the edge of the wall where the tablet is set up for you to clock in and see, like, the entrance of the break room. So I had, like, leaned over to look towards the back to see if they were there, to make sure that they were okay. And then, like, literally, I turn around and this man spawns behind me, and he's like, "Who are you looking for?" Girl, why is it any of your business? It would be things like that if I would go into the office for anything. Like, he'd end up showing, like, being in the office even though I wasn't talking to him, and he was literally, like, in line, which was weird. And there was this one situation, too, where I was, like making, like, something, and I had run out of that ingredient, so I had to go to the back and to grab more stock. And these shelves are very, very tight. Like, it's only like a person's width wide. I was in there, I was looking for it, and mind you, again, he was in a different part of the restaurant, and he was not even like the overseeing person for that part that I was in. Not even 30 seconds later, he is standing right there, and he's like blocking the way, mind you, because like he was like a tall individual, and he was like, "What are you looking for?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm looking for this," and he's like, "Well, we're out of that completely." I was like, "Okay," and then he wouldn't move, and so I was like, "Can you please move?" And thank God he did. Like, he moved to the side, and I was able to squeeze by him and go. But like, first of all, he wasn't even working in the area I was working in. Second of all, I was gone for less than 30 seconds looking for it, and he was there. That means he had to be watching me consistently enough to know immediately when I was left, take the walk from his part back to the back of the store. Like, if I was there, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna psychoanalyze this, because like, what? If I was there for like 30 seconds, let's say, and he was on the other side of the store, that's at least a 15-second walk to the back, unless he full-on sprinted, but that would be fucking weird. A 15-second walk to the back, that means he'd have to know that I had moved in an area that he wasn't even in. That means he would have, like, gone out of his way to look and notice that I was gone in less than 15 seconds of me being gone. That is weird. Now you might be thinking, okay, yeah, this is weird, but like, nothing sounds too crazy. Okay, and then there was this last thing. After this, I didn't really want to work mornings anymore because I just felt so uncomfortable. But I was making food. I think this was like around like lunchtime, and like I was making food, he had called my name. Did you hear that? Sorry. Like, he called my name. Even though I knew he wasn't, like, actively, like, calling my name. I knew he, like, was talking about me, so I pretended like I thought he was calling me. So I was like, what was that? And he turned, he's like, oh, nothing. I was just saying to her that, like, your hair is the same exact hair like my wife's. And, like, he did not have to do all that, because you might be thinking, oh, he's just using your hair as a reference point. No, I do not have any special type of hair. I have brown, medium length hair. That is all he could have said. That is all he could have said. And considering everything else that he's already done up to this point, like, I'm just uncomfortable. And I look uncomfortable. And he comes up later to me and he apologizes. And I was like, just send me back, Cash. Like, I don't want to be here. And so, after that, I kind of, like, avoided him, like, completely. And, like, which I was already doing, but, like, I mean, like, I got off the morning shift for the last, like, few weeks I was there, because at that point, it was towards the end of my time working there. And then this last one, okay, so, I was friends with this person for pretty much the whole proximity of the time that I was there, which was about 8 months. And this person was, like, very, like, I would say, like, socially awkward, but, like, came across sweet. And I was friends with them because, like, they were also in a friend group that we were all in. And, like, he would make comments consistently. Now, mind you, for reference, he's 28 years old. He would make comments consistently about me being cute and innocent. And just things like that. It was, like, really, really weird. And I didn't even know that he was, like, 28 at the time because he had, like, a young-looking face. So I thought he was, like, my age. And we got along just fine, so I was like, whatever. And he was, like, very likable by everybody else, right? But then there was this one time where, like, I was ordering my shift meal, and I had put, like, a decent sized, like, food item on it. And he came out and he's like, dang, all that. And I look at him and I'm like, yeah, actually, I'm gonna add something else just because you said that. He's like, no, that's, like, valid, because, like, women gain weight in different areas. Kid you not, that's the exact. And he looked at my butt. And I was like, what the hell are you trying to say? And he's like, no, nothing. I'm just saying, like, you gain weight in different areas. The absolute audacity. I was so flabbergasted. Like, I got the extra food, obviously, but I was so flabbergasted. I didn't even know how to confront it completely because I was just like, there's no way he just said that. And then I confronted him the next day. And he was like, that's so crazy. But this dude was also known throughout the restaurant to have wallpapers of naked women on his phone and show it to people. And I also heard later that he was talking to me, like, talking about me to people, saying that he would go for me, like I would have ever liked him, go for me if I wasn't so young. He did write an apology for the butt comment, or the butt thing, the butt look, butt situation, on a receipt. On a receipt. And, but I think I threw it away, so I can literally say I don't have the receipts for that, which I find mildly funny. But I was just very appalled that he would even go the relatively short amount of time I've been working, which is like a year and a half, is a lot, unfortunately. And I guess I just wanted to talk about it because it happens. It happens. It's real. And I feel like if we talk about it and we don't normalize it, then it is something that we are able to kind of band together and look out for more together and keep each other protected and sane, because things be crazy in the workforce. Anyways, alright, I will see you guys very, very soon.